So you might remember in step 1, we talked about protecting our right to choose. In step 2, we introduced you to your best self. In step 3, we talked about the idea of when everyone else zigs, you zag. In step 4, I suggested that you are kind to yourself and others. And step 5 is pulling it all back to you've got this. Right here, right now. Your situation, if you're watching this video, if you're truly, truly present in the moment, things are okay. They may not be ideal, but they're okay. So what I want to do now is a relaxation technique with you to reinforce that focus on the present moment, because in the present moment you can't catastrophize. You have to go in the future to do that, and you can't regurgitate and wallow in what has been, because you have to do that in the past. Our ability to go past, present, future is a wonderful skill, but the way we typically use it isn't that useful. So right here, right now, if you're absolutely present, then things are okay. Now, it also is going to help you compartmentalize. Compartmentalization is your ability to park a thought or idea that doesn't serve you. So as you have those negative thoughts, and may those be catastrophizing, exaggerated expectancies, then you could say, nah, not useful, and not even likely, park. Most people can't do that. It's a skill that most people don't have. And I don't know if you do the same like mindfulness or meditation or something like that, but those sorts of practices actually help you develop the skill to compartmentalize, to be able to turn off that mind if it's just giving you stuff that really isn't going to be terribly useful. So this won't be a world away from that type of thing, but in the context of this entire series, it will make sense to finish it all off. So if you're willing to do this, take 10 to 15 minutes out to just stop and relax and develop the skill of being present and to compartmentalize. Then again, you can't do this whilst driving or operating any kind of machinery. You need to find yourself a place where you can be quiet, undisturbed, and completely ignore the outside world. So ideally, you'd have your head propped up against a pile of pillows or in a recliner of some kind, but you need to be somewhere where you can be comfortable and completely relaxed. So if you need to put me on pause for a moment, so you can go off and find that spot, then go and do it. Okay, I'm going to assume that you're there now. You're somewhere where you can safely and comfortably ignore the outside world. So let's begin. So ideally this works best if you close your eyes. You can just imagine things. So just maybe close your eyes and take a few deeply cleansing breaths. And give yourself permission to be exactly where you are, exactly how you are right now. Knowing that you are a work in progress. There's more to you than you can understand. And one of the great discoveries of your life will be the potential that you hold within. And knowing what you know and not knowing what you don't know, you can let go of anything that isn't complete comfort or complete ease. And different thoughts could pass through your mind, and you can just allow them to fade off into the distance. Turn the volume down. Make the images harder to see, more transparent. And all the while, your breathing can slow, become more rhythmical. And with every outward breath, you could just relax a little bit more every muscle, every fibre. Some people like the idea of progressively relaxing through the body. So they'll let go of all the muscles in their eyelids and hold on to that relaxation. They let go of the muscles through the face and cheekbones, down to the throat, neck. They just let all that go. Then they work their way down to the shoulders, just letting go of anything that isn't complete comfort or ease. And they draw their attention down through their arms and into their fingertips. Just pursuing that neutrality, that stillness, that calm. And then down through their torso. Again, just letting go of anything that isn't complete comfort. Then down to the hips and legs, all the way down to the feet. And there's no particular way that you need to do this. There's just your way. If you're not used to turn your attention inward in this way, if you're not used to relaxing and making your mind still, it's okay to recognize there will be times when you'll listen and times when you won't. And when you find yourself distracted, you can just gently bring yourself back. No, it's okay. It's normal. It's a skill to learn. And being able to focus your attention on one particular thought or feeling is an absolute skill to learn. Just as there's a skill to learn of parking a thought or a feeling that doesn't serve. To choose. We have over 50,000 thoughts a day. And a good many of them are not particularly useful. Emotionally driven crap that we run. Fantasy ideas where we talk about how the world should be rather than as it is. Moments of judgment, negativity, doubt. And everyone has them. But the big difference between confident and effective people is that they don't tend to listen to them. And people who struggle to get things done, people who struggle to control their own emotions or their own responses, tend to listen to all of it. So the pivot point of your life comes down to the mechanism you use to determine which thoughts and or feelings to pay attention to and which ones you should simply ignore. How do you choose? If you're anything like most people just choose the loudest. Whatever is loudest or most persistent, they tend to pay attention to. But that doesn't make them useful. Just because you have a thought or a feeling does make it valid. The way you test if a thought is valid is you test it against the real world. What's the real world experience? I know in my inner world it seems real, but when I compare it to the outer world, what do I get? And if it's not real, if it's not valid, and it's not useful, then we need to park it. And the way we do that is we take that voice that's feeding that thought, we might put it on the other side of a deep, deep, even deeper now ravine. So it's distant and hard to hear. Or you might imagine it on the other side of a thick pane of glass, so it's muffled and virtually impossible to decipher. Or you might choose to give it a ridiculous accent or a cartoon tone, so whatever it says seems absurd and hardly compelling. The good news is that you get to control that voice inside your head. You can make it louder, you can make it softer, but you're the one in charge. You're bigger than every thought and every feeling you've ever had. You're bigger with it than every crisis, every problem you've ever dealt with. You're more than that. And you'll get through this as well. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy for every one of us, but you will get through it. And you'll get through it because you have to. You don't have a choice. Every one of us is going to lose both our parents, all our grandparents. And if you don't, it's because you went first. None of us gets out of this alive. But whilst we're alive, we get to choose what we pay attention to, what we feed our mind with. And you can feed it with news feeds of negativity, or you can feed it with a focus on what you can do and how you can utilize the time. If you want to grow sunflowers in a garden, you need to plant sunflowers. But you can't plant poison ivy and expect sunflowers to grow. It just doesn't work that way. Your mind is like a fertile garden. Whatever you plant, it will sow and you will reap. The question is, do you, with some conscious volition, choose what you feed your mind? What will you choose now and in the coming days? What can you control and what can you not? What can you influence if you can't control it? Where is your power in the situation? And how do you activate that best self to explore all that you can do and make the most of this forced break that we're all having? How do we do it? If you can visualize yourself 4 to 6 months from now, looking back at all that you did, how did you get to be that best self? Right here, right now, what can you plan in the coming days and weeks? Because the world doesn't respond to your thoughts, it responds to your actions. What will you make happen that most won't? Who can you be today that's different from yesterday? How do you do and be more? That's right. Consider this even more deeply now. Recognize that you have much more capacity than you've ever demonstrated. And as you grow into that, in the coming days and months, you might find yourself automatically responding differently to the ways you have done in the past. You might find yourself acting with efficiency and effectiveness and kindness and curiosity. You might find that you've developed a much more positive response to the world than you're used to. Because as I said, your mind doesn't really care which way you go. At the unconscious level, it's all the same. It's just input. But you can decide what you want. You need to screen out the things that don't serve you and welcome in the things that do. So take a minute of clock time, of silence from me, to process everything that's been said. And just simply deepen your own experience. That minute starts now. So putting this together in any way you wish, cherry picking what's been said, putting it together in a way that suits you and only you, recognizing that at the end of the day, it is all up to you. I certainly can't tell you what to do, it's not my life. But you could recognize that you're so much more than you think you are. And you could be more than that again. And that you've got this. Have you not? And when you know that to be true, feel free to come on back. Breathing shifting, circulation returning, coming all the way back now. All the way back, and welcome back. So that concludes our 5-part series of You've Got This. I hope this has been of value to you. I hope you get some use out of it. And of course, if you want to explore more of what we teach and more of what you could get from being associated with us, then please feel free to look us up. The Institute of Applied Psychology. We have introductory evenings and webinars. And there's a lot of video on the YouTube channel. And you might find some of that useful in this context. So hopefully we'll see you in some other guise. But please stay safe and look after yourself and each other. This is Gordon Young saying thank you very much for your attention.